If your business is running on the cloud, you're not just using a new tool, you're part of a massive technological shift. But with all that incredible power comes a really critical challenge: security. So in this explainer, we're going to cut through the noise and build a clear picture of the threats, and more importantly, the practical steps you can take to turn your cloud environment into a fortress. Let's dive in.
So let's just kick things off with a number that really sets the stage. According to a recent IBM report, a staggering 82% of all data breaches involved data that was stored in the cloud. Think about that. This isn't some niche problem anymore. This is the main event. The cloud is where the data lives, and that makes it the number one target.
And when a breach does happen, the cost is just immense. The average financial hit from a single data breach is now a jaw-dropping $4.35 million. That's the kind of number that can absolutely cripple a business, which makes security not just an IT issue, but a core survival issue.
Now, let's talk about the sheer volume of this threat. The average organization faces about 1,925 cyber attacks every single week. This isn't a once-a-year storm you brace for. It's a constant, relentless pressure on your defenses. The battlefield is active 24/7. This quote just captures the new reality perfectly, doesn't it? We have to shift our mindset from asking if we'll face an attack to how often and are we actually prepared. It's a fundamental change in how we need to think about security in this digital age. So here's our game plan for today. We'll start by looking at the reality of these threats. Then we'll find the real culprit. It might surprise you. From there, we'll walk through building your defenses, from the fortress walls to the watchtower. And finally, we'll talk about the most critical piece of all, your role in this whole thing. First up, the cloud security reality. Let's get right into why the very thing that makes the cloud so amazing, its incredible scale and speed, also makes your data a prime target for attackers. So with thousands of attacks hitting every single week, you have to wonder, where are they getting in? We all tend to imagine these sophisticated, shadowy hackers using some secret, unknown exploit. But the reality? Well, it's actually far more mundane, and in a way, far more preventable. The biggest threat isn't a secret weapon. It's an unlocked door. Now, this is fascinating. We worry a lot about things like phishing or insecure APIs, which, are the digital doorways for applications to talk to each other. But look at this. The single biggest slice of this pie is misconfiguration at 23%. It's not about attackers breaking down the door. It's about us accidentally leaving it wide open. So what exactly is a misconfiguration? Well, think of it as a simple settings error. It's leaving a storage bucket full of sensitive data totally open to the entire internet. It's giving an employee access to systems they absolutely don't need. It's just forgetting to turn on encryption. These are simple human errors, but with potentially catastrophic consequences. And this right here brilliantly illustrates where the responsibility really lies. The big cloud providers, they build incredibly secure foundations, but how we build on top of them is totally up to us. This projection is a massive wake-up call. Mastering our own configurations is the absolute key to security, and that really sets the stage for how we build our solutions. All right, enough about the problem. Let's start building the solution. The very first step is to carve out your own private, secure space within the vast public cloud. We have to build the walls of our fortress before we worry about what we put inside. And we do this with something called a virtual private cloud, or a VPC. Think of the public cloud as this huge open territory. A VPC is basically you claiming a plot of that land and building a high wall all the way around it. It's your own logically isolated network where you and only you control all the traffic coming in and going out. It's the essential first layer of defense. Building this fortress involves 3 key steps. First, you define your overall territory. That's the VPC itself. Then, inside those walls, you create separate isolated rooms, which we call subnets, for different purposes. And finally, you post guards at every single gate. These are your firewalls and route tables that strictly control who and what is allowed to move between rooms and in or out of the fortress. So, our fortress walls are up. The perimeter is secure. But security doesn't just stop at the gate, right? We now have to make sure that the machines and applications running inside our fortress are also locked down right from the very start. This is the crucial next question. I mean, a strong wall is pretty useless if the guards inside are untrained and leave the armory unlocked. We have to address the security of our actual workloads, our virtual machines. Let's see how we can make sure they're secure from the moment they're created. When you launch a virtual machine, you basically have a choice. You can start with a standard image, which is built for convenience. It's kind of a blank slate, which means you are responsible for manually going in and locking down hundreds of settings. Or you can start with a CIS-hardened image. This is a virtual machine that has been pre-configured by security experts to be secure by default. All the unnecessary ports are closed, risky services are disabled, and permissions are tightened before it even boots up for the first time. And this isn't a one-size-fits-all approach either. You can choose the level of hardening that fits your needs. A level 1 profile gives you a really strong, practical security baseline with minimal impact. Level 2 is for those high-security environments where you're willing to trade a little performance for extra protection. And STIG, that stands for Security Technical Implementation Guide, is for organizations that need to comply with the most rigorous government and defense standards. And here it is, the crucial point. By starting with a pre-hardened image, you are directly and automatically eliminating the biggest single cause of cloud breaches that we saw earlier. You're taking human error almost completely out of the initial setup, which is probably the most powerful single step you can take. Okay, our fortress is built and the soldiers inside are trained. But what good is a fortress without a watchtower? You have to be able to see what's happening across your entire environment. Without visibility, you're just defending blind. But achieving that clear visibility is really tough. I mean, logs and alerts are coming at you from everywhere. Your network, your applications, your cloud provider. The sheer volume can be overwhelming, the cost of collecting it all can be crazy, and trying to sort a real threat from all the harmless background noise is incredibly difficult. This is where a SIEM, or Security Information and Event Management System, comes in. Think of it as the central command center in your watchtower. It collects all those fragmented logs, puts them all in one place, and then uses intelligent analysis to connect the dots and spot the patterns that indicate an actual attack. It turns a flood of noisy data into actual, actionable intelligence. So, we've covered the fortress, the soldiers, and the watchtower. Now we come to the most important part of this entire equation: you. You see, cloud security isn't something you can just buy and forget about. It's an active partnership, and you have a critical role to play. And this all comes down to a fundamental concept called the shared responsibility model. It's actually pretty simple. The cloud provider, like AWS or Google, is responsible for the security of the cloud. That means the physical data centers, the servers, the core networking. But you, the customer, you're responsible for security in the cloud. That's your data, your applications, your user access, and most importantly, your configurations. They secure the building, you're responsible for locking your apartment door. And that leaves us with this one final thought. The cloud offers incredible power. It lets you innovate and scale in ways that were just impossible a few years ago. But that power comes with responsibility. It's a partnership. And owning your side of that security partnership is the only way to truly stay safe. So the question is, are you ready to own it?